in the past, I feel like I've been pretty lazy with our parents' story. Because while Rebecca was 14 when we moved, like we just said, I was 7, Luke was 5. It was just this adventure. We weren't leaving school. We weren't leaving, we weren't teenagers. And so I always saw this movie, Luke similarly, from a childlike perspective. But then when you go and you start rewriting, as I'm roughly Dad's age when he moved. And so you start looking at it from adult back.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you're not as lazy with his story anymore. You go, oh my goodness, 6 kids, 1 on the way. Moved his wife over here, no insurance, loses his job, no car, no furniture, no way to get home. And you just go, you start feeling yourself. So the amount of empathy that it gave for him. Luke and I and the band we're in for King Country, we've been sharing this story from stage for years. It's one that has continued to resonate with our listeners and audience members. The story of Unsung Hero is a family movie. It's a 90s film. It's a film about a mum and her 6 kids with 1 on the way, and her husband had lost everything migrating from Australia to the United States. Like there is a stake in the ground for me in our relationship that was that production of Unsung Hero. And I don't think I'll ever look at our journey or him in the same light.
Yeah. No, and it comes out in the film. The film is so well done. And I mean, it is a pro-family film with all of its kind of quirks and turns. But there was a lot of tension going on in the family with the move, because you came over, as you said, your dad didn't have the job he anticipated he was going to have. The promises evaporated, and he's got 6 kids, 1 on the way, no money coming in. I think one of the things that really struck me as awesome was the way people rallied around you. Made me feel kind of proud to be an American, actually, that there are good people here. You found that in Nashville. Describe some of that, what those people did to help you guys as a family.
I mean, man, we had, just to give a little bit of context, Joel did a little bit, but Dad brought a tour over to Australia. It didn't go very well. We lost everything, right? Lost the house, lost the car, lost the life savings, and he gets a job offer to come to Nashville, Tennessee. He thinks it's a good idea to move his 6 kids, his wife is 6 months pregnant, and we come to America. We land. My dad loses that job. All right, and so as you kind of described, we're in a state, right? We're in a load of hurt. We were sleeping on beds made out of clothes. We didn't have any way for our little sister to be born in a hospital. Didn't have a car. I wasn't always quite sure where the next meal was going to come from. And one of the things that was cool about just being a child in that process was we literally didn't know what else to do other than just gather around in our furnitureless living room and just start praying for these essential things.
There's no food. We're almost out of money. We need to make some changes. Kids, we need your help. This is everything we have. And sometimes it's going to grow and sometimes it will shrink. But it cannot be allowed to disappear.
And you always hear in families, like if you want your family to follow in the footsteps of what you believe and following Jesus, there needs to be evidence of what that faith looks like in your family. And so for us, we would go around and we'd be like, God, need rent. And then, to pay for rent, and all of a sudden, you would see rent show up. People would, the local church would come and they would write us a check to cover our rent. We would have new neighbors that we didn't even know. They would come and drop groceries on our doorstep. That became dear friends. The first Thanksgiving that we were here, someone gave us a car. And let me tell you, if you want foreigners to fall in love with Thanksgiving, just give them a car. They'll do that. Right? And,
I'll make a note to myself.
That's right. That's right. So we saw all these extraordinary things take place, and you're absolutely right. It was the local community that loved on us in a way that if it wasn't for the local community, the local church, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
Well,
right now.
it's interesting because that is what the church is supposed to be. Yeah. And so often we're not stepping up in that way. And that's what the movie, again, inspires you to think of who's around you.
Yeah.
Who are the neighbors around you and who can you help?
Well, and I'd even take that a step further, Jim, and say, I think the lens that we look at life through is family. Because what you don't see in the film, and you might need to just stop the podcast if we're spoiling too much for you, but what you don't see in the film is that you see the breadcrumbs of what we're all doing today. Raking leaves, mowing lawns, banding together, figuring out how to, as siblings, partner with each other. What you don't see is when you fast forward the better part of 30 years, us three sitting here now, but you see our youngest brother general managing, and our oldest brother doing lighting, and our brother Ben doing film work, and our little sister Libby designing our crest, and our dad, like, you see our mum being the glue. You see us all continuing to live out through music and through the arts, but what it looks like to be a family, not always a functional one, but a family nonetheless.
Not perfect.
That stays together.
I haven't met that perfect family yet, so this is awesome.
I don't think it
though.
exists.
Yeah, I don't think so. That's not the goal.
Yeah.